And we are back with another episode of the Hockey Princess podcast. I am your host, the Hockey Princess. Just as a reminder, make sure to hit that like and subscribe on either Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Amazon Music, however you watch or listen to us ramble on a weekly basis. If you are going to a game this year, be it the NHL, AHL, ECHL with our friends down at Indy, please wait for the whistle. Do not get up while the puck's in play. Please, please, please. Thank you. Krusty, it's a special day.
It's a special day. Why?
It's because not that banner. That one. It is our 100th episode.
Shouldn't balloons be falling down and stuff? Shouldn't it be like when you're on the iPhone and you hit the happy birthday thing and things go?
And it just explodes. It probably should.
Wait until we get an intern and then tech people.
It'll be another 100 episodes before we get an intern.
There'll be like explosions. Well, I think we'd be good work for an intern.
We would give them a lot of work because
we would.
We struggle sometimes.
Well, I don't know about the we, but I know I do.
But yeah, guys, we're at 100 episodes, which is wild. For anyone who's listened to, even half of our episodes, that's wild. Thank you to anyone who has listened or watched us ramble since the beginning or whenever you started joining. Because it's pretty kooky to me that we've done it for this long so far.
Yeah, it's very wacky. I can remember back to sitting on the grass in front of the United Center doing an episode right before the season started on the phone.
Yeah.
No video, no nothing.
No.
Had a little bit of car noise going on.
Yeah.
It was fantastic.
Yeah, trying to edit that out when I didn't know how to do it. It was very weird. And then we grew and we got video, and then we didn't know how to do video for a while. And now we've gotten even better.
Yes, we're a little bit better. We're able to have both of the video things up.
Which is wild.
Uh-huh. My woman bought me a microphone.
Yep.
You still don't have one, so.
I don't have one, but I'm not filming in my closet anymore. So that's an upgrade in itself.
Yes, maybe Santa will bring you a microphone. You never know.
Maybe. You never know.
Yes, it's quite crazy.
Very kooky. Well,
I've had a really good time. I appreciate it.
It's fun. It's our therapy to just discuss the hockey world for 100 episodes.
Well, I don't know about our therapy. I'm pretty sure it's becoming a big part of your therapeutic lifestyle.
Oh, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of that, let's get into the content for our 100th episode. Not a ton in the NHL world. Kind of just bits and bobs of normal stuff. We've got a lot of guys coming back from injured reserve from their respective teams. You got Tage Thompson, who's expected to be ready fairly soon for the Buffalo Sabres. Austin Matthews they said in quotes, could play this week for the Toronto Maple Leafs. So who knows what that actually means, but it's promising. And then the biggest surprise for me, just based on the hit when it happened, is that Brock Boeser is ready to go. For those who did not see, there was a game, I believe it was Los Angeles versus Vancouver. Tanner Jeannot has a pretty decent, gnarly hit on Brock Boeser. Boeser was out. It's definitely one of those, how we debated the Ryan Reeves hit last night, where it was kind of, was it clean? Was it dirty? Sort of thing. But I at least expected Boeser to be out a bit longer, but happy to see that he is progressing and should be ready within this week.
Yeah, that's fantastic for him. So, we don't like to see anybody miss a lot of time because of a head injury.
Yeah.
It's, unfortunately, it's a nasty game.
Yeah, definitely a nasty game. And then we have Krusty calling the future last week, saying that Montgomery was going to be hired very quickly, and that he was, because Jim Montgomery was fired by the Boston Bruins and basically within the week was hired by the St. Louis Blues.
Yeah, St. Louis, no different. We talked and maybe thought maybe Detroit. St. Louis is another team that's made some moves, and they expect to be at least in the playoff hunt. And right now they're not.
Yeah.
And they are really struggling. Yeah, Montgomery, I don't consider him one of the best coaches around, but he's part of that retread generation that he's a darn good coach, so why wouldn't you have him there? I mean, any team that's looking to be in playoff contention, you don't want to take chances on the coach.
Right.
I mean, I understand why he was snatched up. Well, we've still got a couple on the hot seat. We talked about the guy from Detroit. And now in my head is I don't know how much longer Andrew Burnett lasts. I've got to figure he goes soon. And the only thing that would be really cool is if that little guy decides he's going to fire Burnett and just coaches also. Who knows? Possible.
Things have happened. And I don't know if we talked about this last week of another player or another coach that's on the hot seat, but Pittsburgh's up there. Sullivan's up there in terms of the hot seat as well.
Yeah, I've got to figure. It looks like they're starting to wave the white flag. That's a terrible team right now. Yeah, I don't know if any of your viewers saw Sid going after poor Kyle Connor, who gave him a reverse hit, and I think Sid had just had enough. He went back and cross-checked him like 3 different times before Kyle Connor would fight him. I think it's just a tipping point for Sid. Everybody's got their opinion on him. As I said, I think he is a phenomenal hockey player. He is now going through that tough time, and they can't beat anybody, and they can't even stay close. So, yeah, surprisingly, that hasn't been done yet, just to try to get the coaching bump, where you start to rattle off 3 or 4. But hey, they just might be that bad.
Well, and because I know we talked about Montgomery in particular and Lalonde also being on the hot seat. Do we have any names right now that were or are prominent coaches that are free agents at the
moment? Well,
aside from the one that I am fully in the opinion does not need to come back to the NHL.
Well, you heard where he might be coming back to. I don't know. The little things that I'm hearing is Patrick Kane might be joined by an old coach of his. That is the latest rumor that I'm hearing is Q might be taking some phone calls. Wow, huh? Yeah.
For those that are listening and not watching me, I'm speechless.
Yeah, there is starting to become rumblings. So, again, it would just be another kick in the teeth of the Blackhawks organization. It would definitely be kicking them when they're down. So
I don't know if that's correct.
You might not be kicking the organization, but you're kicking the fan base. So there's a lot of older generation Blackhawk fans that want nothing to do with that Dead Wing team. Number 1, Patrick Kane goes there. Number 2, a Q would go there. I don't know. I don't know if Q fixes it or not. But that is one of the things I'm hearing. I take it you might have heard something else, but that's the one
Oh, I thought
I've.
you were gonna say, I feel like there's the constant rumor every 9 months of just insert whatever Chicago Blackhawk coach we have and just bring back Q. And I'm like, absolutely not.
No, I'm hearing possibly Detroit. Yeah.
Interesting.
Uh-huh.
I don't think it changes Detroit's problem.
I don't know. He's a difference maker as a coach.
He is a difference maker. I think Detroit has different issues than they're looking for him. We know what Q can do. We've seen it. We saw it for years. And Q has the ability to be an effective head coach. That's just point blank. He did it in Chicago. But I think Detroit has more problems than just what Q can fix. I don't think he's a make or break that you have it in this roster is magically fixed. Detroit has issues.
Yes. But again, their biggest issue, cut and dry, is putting the puck in the net. So,
yeah.
Would he be able to start motivating some people? I wouldn't put it past him. Again, he has a knack for it. So, that's been the one crazy rumor that I've heard. As I said,
You're hearing like different rumors. Well, I just get like the joke rumors of that Yzerman's going to bring back his buddy Fedorov to coach for the Red Wings, and that is the whole Yzer plan. Gosh, I thought, if anything, I thought he would go to Nashville.
And that, again, I think that's a spot that's open. I don't know how much longer they wait.
Well, because I think if they were to fire Brunette, which I do agree that he's definitely one that's on the hot seat, maybe not even to his own fault. I think they're going to look in the complete opposite. For those who don't know history of Andrew Brunette, he was the interim replacement for Quenneville, had a little bit of position in Florida, then left, and then I believe then jumped straight to Nashville, if I'm not correct.
Correct.
But I think if you fire Brunette, Nashville is then looking for the complete opposite and finding the most veteran head coach on the market.
Yes. And again, they're a team that spent a lot of money in the offseason with the thoughts of they would then load up, and get crusty old guy thinking, might be the team to beat. And
but they're not, because you know why? Because all-star teams fail. And that's what the Nashville Predators on paper is, a glorified all-star team. You thought you could jump the gun by signing a lot of these bigger names, which is definitely a way to go about it, but it also can kind of crash and burn.
I'm going to disagree with that one. That's not an all-star team. Ryan O'Reilly's not an all-star player.
In terms of there's a lot of prominent names on the roster.
I think the problem is you knew Steven Stamkos sucked in 5-on-5 hockey last year, and you thought somehow it could be different in Nashville. And you know what? It's no different. He's got one goal on 5-on-5. Marchessault isn't doing much better on 5-on-5. You went out and got older players, some of them really old, 36, 33, and thought you could rekindle something with already older players. And I think that's what bit them. They're just not young enough. They're not fast enough. So, and the Stamkos is a great example of Tampa Bay got out in front of it. He's the face of their team, but they knew he was a liability on the ice in 5-on-5, and you can't have that. So, not that much that all-star teams, old teams fail.
I meant all-star in terms of compared.
I know
to
you
other,
just like to quote number one. You just any chance you can quote the movie.
Well, yeah.
I understand that you're
this
behind
is a hockey podcast, of course, but I mean, compared to other teams, yes, in terms of the names that they have on the roster, it's more than most.
Yes,
and I think that rarely ever actually works.
Yeah.
Let me get all of these big names. Doesn't work. Yeah, Vegas will tell you it doesn't work because they want it with the complete opposite. As much as I really don't like the Vegas Golden Knights, they want it with the complete opposite.
Well, somewhat. They got the best player that was available in the game, though, in Jack Eichel, and that's a difference maker. But Jack Eichel's 25, 26 years old, right, with another 7 years of stud production ahead of him. I'll admit it, I haven't watched much Nashville, so I know, Mr. No Goals has struggled at times. So obviously they're struggling to put the puck in the net and then sometimes out of the net, but nothing's clicked yet. Mm-hmm. But time's running out. So to get in a playoff spot in the Central Division is not an easy task. No. Especially now, you've got 3 teams that are just unbelievable. So, and you've got Colorado playing bad.
3 teams. Who are your 3?
Minnesota's on fire.
Okay, I was gonna say because I'm like, all right, we have Dallas, we have Minnesota, Colorado's playing like,
and that Winnipeg team that I picked to be like second or third.
Yeah,
last.
What?
Who is the best team in hockey?
Always have faith in Connor Hellebuyck. Yeah. Always. Just blank it. Always.
That's going to come back at the end of the year and really bite me in the ass.
It's all right. I think I put New Jersey Devils at 6 too, so we both have a couple that we just didn't know what to do with.
But no, I really didn't even think about Q coming that to Nashville. So, but those are the teams. Those are the teams that are starting to worry.
Well, I think Nashville, to me, is very similar to Edmonton in the sense of, from a PR, from a public standpoint, they're not going to care as much about the conflict in the past that comes with bringing back Q.
Oh, no.
And that's where I figured Nashville, or like a team that really that isn't as concerned as some other teams, definitely it would affect them greatly. I think that's also why I thought Nashville.
Yeah. About the whole situation, you've already got Stan coaching somewhere. It's all...
The man could never coach.
Right. He's a GM up in him. So.
No, I'm just saying that's my reasoning where I kind of thought Nashville over like a different city. I would definitely figure that he would go to a city that has not a completely new fan base, like an expansion team, but definitely a newer fan base compared to like an original 6 or a team that's been around for longer.
Oh, yeah, the press is easier. And number one, Nashville, look at it, any kind of press is good press.
Right.
So, I don't know. I would assume those 2 teams make a move before Christmas. So sometime in between Thanksgiving and Christmas break is when that happens. I don't know. We kind of got sidetracked into coaches on the hot seat, but then I started wanting to looking at other coaches and everything. And I think everybody else is kind of pretty cool. There's no other big team that is like falling apart. As I said, I think the Pens are just going to wave the white flag. They're going to go for the number one pick and say, be done with it and see if they can't regroup for one more year. We'll see.
I don't want Pittsburgh getting Higgins.
Well, I mean, they're going to be up there. They're close to being as bad as us. So it'll be interesting to see how all that plays out.
Which, I mean, well, to be fair, I mean, if they take Higgins, that means we have a better shot of taking Porter Martoni. And I'm all for that.
I'm not looking into that yet. But
I know, that's why you keep me around.
Right, but I did look at the World Junior Team Canada like projected lineup.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a little frightening.
Why is it a little frightening?
Well, because we're supposed to have all this great young talent, but there's not a Blackhawk on there. There's 4 Flyers on there. There's 2 Kraken. There's a bunch from other teams, but nothing from us. As I've said about
Who
this,
from our teams would even qualify?
Is it more old enough?
Or did he age out?
I don't know.
Because that's the thing. I know NASCAR is aged out. The projected line that I saw, Renzel might be on it.
Yeah, I did not see him on that.
Maybe we're looking at different lists.
Okay. But, that's the thing I've been saying for a while about the stripping it down to the bare bones. Everybody acts like nobody else gets better. Everybody else still gets better.
Yeah.
You're just further behind.
Yeah.
All right. We've
spoken for 20 minutes about Nashville. Let's get into our prospects.
Okay.
Speaking of the World Juniors, which I'm very excited for the World Juniors. Get into our prospects. We have prospects who have done things this week. Starting off with University of Minnesota, as always, we've got Oliver Moore with 2 goals and 1 assist this weekend. Sam Renzel with 2 goals and 2 assists. Minnesota had a very good weekend. We've got the old guy's favorite, Sasha Boisvert, with 2 goals and 1 assist. Aiden Thompson with 1 apiece, 1 goal, 1 assist. Ryan Green, to be fair, Boston University only played 1 game last weekend, so he only has 1 assist for the weekend. We've got Put a Spell on You with a goal for the Windsor Spitfires. We've got Jack Pridham having another great weekend, his 2nd weekend now in the OHL for the Kitchener Rangers with 2 goals and 1 assist. Alex Ferrand with the Sudbury Wolves, we've got 2 goals and 2 assists. A goal for the Mustard up at Providence College. And last but certainly not least, the Lardass with 3 goals and 3 assists.
That's it?
Yes.
Just 3 goals for the Lardass?
Yeah.
Do better, Lardass.
I believe it was the first weekend that this is like the lowest for him.
I know.
So he's fine. He's cooking just fine. And then also, just as another reminder, Merrick Banneker is still on injured reserve for the Brantford Bulldogs. At some point in December, maybe. We will put that out there when we know. Jumping into Rockford. We've got 2 games for Rockford. 1 win, 1 loss. First game against the Texas Stars. You had Comesso back in net. He was recalled a little bit to the big kid level, which is why Weeks played a decent amount the previous weekend, but now he's back. NASCAR looks so good. So good. I think he heard what Krusty, old guy, was saying about not noticing him and then just proceeded to give Krusty the middle finger because he looks so good.
Oh, giving Krusty the old middle finger.
Exactly.
Yeah, that sounds like a good country and western song.
For defensive pairings, still Artie and Kevin are split, just as I would prefer. You got Isaac Phillips with Artie, and then you've got Ethan DeMastro with Kevin Korchinski. Like I said, Drew Comesso was in net. Solid, a little bit of awkward moments throughout the game. Really impressed with Landon Slaggert's game. Would like to see him get a little bit of time up at the big kid level at some point in the season. Doesn't have to be a ton. I understand the development is important, and Rockford is about development, not a demotion. But I think he's played consistent so far, and I definitely, him and Colton, like Christy said last weekend, for me, I'm going to be tooting the Landon Slaggert horn, hoping that he gets a little bit of time up at the big kid level. Core looks less uncomfortable. That was definitely a huge thing. He was a lot more physical the first game versus Texas. He definitely looks less lost and uncomfortable during the game, which I like to see. Guys, the best part of the game is their penalty kill is so good. And Krusty, do you know why their penalty kill is so good?
It's probably because they have hide and seek and Paul on the
Because
penalty kill.
Sam Savoy and Paul Ludwinski, primarily Sam Savoy, are penalty killing machines.
Let's not downplay the hide and seek and Paul.
Sure. Sam Savoy is a penalty killing machine. Oh my goodness. Especially there was one at the end of the second period. They're on the kill, but Sam has the puck in like the corner in the offensive end, and he's got 3 guys on him that are trying to get the puck from him in the quarter, and he's just standing there like defending the puck up against the boards, killing the penalty. It was amazing. So great work by Savoy. Second game with Rockford versus Texas, they lost in overtime. Nothing really too much to say about the game. Weeks was in net. It wasn't one of those where they kind of just slumped for the first period and then they're down by a bunch and then they're playing catch up the rest of the game. It was pretty back and forth in terms of scoring and pace. You got 2 goals by Senny and the gut punch. So not a great weekend by Rockford, but we've certainly had far worse weekends at the beginning of this season.
Okay, I'll believe you on all that. Is this when I can tell everybody not to go nuts about Frank Nazar coming up?
Yeah, would you like to step on the stool, step on the soapbox?
No, I don't want to step on it. But I mean, he's got 16 points in 14 games, which means he's on about the same pace as a Lucas Reichel. Okay?
In the AHL, it's different.
Yes. Right. But about the same pace in the AHL as Lucas Reichel. I don't think anybody's thinking Lucas Reichel is going to come up and save the big club. That's number 1. Number 2, if we're expecting a 20-year-old to come up and light a fire underneath 30-year-old veterans, you're thinking about this whole thing backwards. Okay, that's not the way this works. Okay, we're stuck with a veteran team. He doesn't light a fire up underneath anything. All he does is upset the locker room even more, taking a bunch of interviews about him coming in to be the savior, which doesn't work out well for a locker room either.
No.
Okay, let the guy stay down there and play. Okay, he's going to stay down there for the whole year. Okay, now if he makes it past 2 rounds in Rockford and looks really good, then I'll talk for next year.
There you go.
Okay, it's just that simple. The rest, just be quiet about. We don't need a 5'9" guy up here right now.
No, okay. But a Landon Slaggert.
We can talk about him. We can talk about Colton Dock, sure. And I
only say Landon because we've seen at least a little bit already up at the big kid level. And like we kind of talked about before the Florida game a little bit, we're not 100% sure on where he actually fits in with Kyle Davidson's master saving hockey in Chicago plan. And I would figure, as much as I'm a big fan of Landon Slaggert, but I would figure that, if he had to pick between two kids and rushing one's development, he's going to try to rush Landon's more than NASCAR's.
Well, right, and Landon's older to begin with.
Yeah.
But I had a thought and it completely drifted away. I don't know what happened.
No.
I did. It was a really good thought. I was really proud of it and everything.
Landon?
And now it's gone.
Bringing Landon up? Doc?
No. We had NASCAR, we had Doc, we had Landon. We were talking
Kyle
about all of them. Huh?
Kyle Davidson?
We're talking about Kyle Davidson, yeah. It's gone.
It's gone. Okay.
It was an unbelievable thought, and it just left my brain.
Mm.
Oh, your listeners have missed out on a golden nugget.
It's all right.
Sorry about that, listeners. If it comes back throughout the show, I'll let you know.
There you go.
But for right now, it's not coming back. I don't quite know why.
Yeah.
Does anybody know why?
No.
Nobody knows why. Okay.
Also, I'd like to get your thought on at what point, because we really don't talk about bringing defensemen up, aside from people wanting Core to come back up. At what point, or what does Ethan DeMastro have to do down in Rockford for you to think maybe he should get a little bit of a look? Is it a time thing? Is he down there as more of a mentor for other kids, and so he doesn't get a look for a minute? What does he need to do?
I don't believe he needs to do anything.
Okay.
Some say that Nolan Allen kind of moved ahead of him on the depth chart for the team. I still tiny bit believe that they wanted him down there in Rockford. I do believe he comes up whenever Drew comes up.
Okay.
I don't think there's any part of his game that screams, I don't belong in the NHL. So, I don't think he's really got anything else to do differently.
Okay.
And also with the Blackhawks, you've got two kids down there in Rockford that are supposed to be your power play people to begin with. So it's not like he needs that on his resume. He's very good with the kill. He's very physical. So he just needs to wait for all these old guys to leave, basically.
Okay. Because the more that I watch his game, I'm consistently impressed with just the stability of his performance. And so you just wonder, what does he need to do different? Or is it more of a just biding your time and less of a needing to prove yourself?
Yeah. For me, I firmly believe it's just biding your time.
Okay.
As I've said from the beginning, I really believe him and Drew will come up at the same time. As I said, I think he's a calming influence for Drew. Again, he's that just nice and steady anchor.
Oh yeah,
which I don't think they want to lose from Rockford, and it makes no difference to bring him up to the shit show that is the big team.
Yeah.
So, for me, no. There's nothing that I'd have to see for him to have a call up. I think it's just a matter of time.
Fair enough. Speaking of the shit show that is our big team, we have a couple of games to talk about, not a ton. And by couple, I quite literally mean two. But the first one was a very special game. As we talked about last week, Florida came into town. And when there's Florida, there's Tomo Rutu, my favorite hockey player. So we went down to warm-ups, and guys, it was great. Not going to lie. We freaked out a little bit because he took his time coming to the bench during warm-ups, and I thought, this is the year that he's injured, he's sick, he didn't make the trip, he's just not coming out. But then he did, and it was great. Oh, Krusty's going, so I'm just going to keep talking about Tomo Rutu. No, it was absolutely great. It was great to see him. Because Florida's in the Eastern Conference, we only get to see him once a year. We're our number 15s. He got a little bit of a kick out of the sign that we made for him. That was a great before game
What do you mean this we made for him?
that
We
I
made him.
made for him.
Yes.
I'm trying to give you credit. You were down there.
I was down there. I gave him a thumbs up. I showed him the back of my t-shirt. I was fanboying too. I'll admit it.
Everybody's
He
a
was
fanboy for Tomoru too.
in any time an ex-player and present coach can sit there and give you a nod that he's leaving and he appreciates you being there. It's got to be a big meaning, for the hockey princess. As Tomorutu turned, gave her a head nod, said, "I'm leaving. Thank you for coming out."
Day made, season made. I kept telling Krusty the rest of the game, really the rest of the season doesn't matter. Kaner came home, Rutu came back. We're good.
Mm-hmm.
November spoiled it. But it was great. And also with Florida coming means the Blackhawks are get a win because we can't beat Anaheim. We can't beat Philly. We can't even beat San Jose half the time. But guys, we can beat the defending Stanley Cup champions. So, and I asked Krusty this, does that make us the true champions?
Not even close. That means we are the team that everybody looks past.
Hey,
and says,
2 points.
Well, that's a win. Even if it's not a win, we know that's a game. We don't have to work very hard.
But you do. We got a couple of notes about the Rutu game. We had Peter Mrazek versus Spencer Knight, which, yes, to Krusty's point, they didn't even put Bob in net, which I was kind of bummed because as a Blackhawk fan, really as any NHL fan, I would think it's universal that Bob is just pretty entertaining to watch, whether you're cheering for him, against him, or just watching as a neutral spectator. It wasn't awful. It wasn't great by any means. I'm not claiming the game to be great, but it was certainly less of a bloodbath than what I expected. I think there were quite a few times that Luke decided to completely mismanage lines and pair Bedard against some interesting people, pair other lines against other Florida lines that it really didn't match up all that well. Jason Dickinson was out for a little bit because he took a puck to a hand and the world freaked out, which a lot of people were then thinking, this is NASCAR's time. This is NASCAR's time. No, that means Philip Kurashev doesn't have to be healthy scratched every time the wind changes around Luke Richardson. But then Jason Dickinson came back because he's a tough guy. You got 2 goals you got Teuvo Teravainen and Craig Smith with a couple of goals. I really liked Nolan Allen's game. Defensively, Florida is a hard game, even if they were taking a bit of a night off. Still, their taking a night off is probably compared to better than what the Blackhawks can sometimes do on a good night. And so I think Allen had a pretty good game against the Florida Panthers. Not a easy team to go up against for a rookie defenseman. Good, but not great. It also doesn't help that his defensive partner is Alec Martinez, who's one of our veterans. No one really impressed me, but it just was less sad to watch.
Oh, it definitely was. As far as Nolan's game, I think through the sample size, we figured out he can handle the heaviness of the NHL game.
Yeah.
I believe he is ready for that. The speed of it, occasionally he's getting beat to the side. It just needs to get a little quicker, a little bit better footwork. But as far as a mean forecheck coming in and everything, he can play that game. He's big, he's physical, he's strong on his skates. So he's a keeper.
Yeah.
Might just be as a number 6 guy. But the physicalness of the NHL game is not too much for him.
No.
As I said, he gets beat to the outside a couple times. I mean, not where he's a pylon and they go right past him to the front of the net, but enough where they're getting some distance. He's able to keep them to the outside, but they get probably more distance than you want them to.
Right.
As far as you had a Teuvo Teravainen goal, so what's the first thing you know about that goal?
What?
Well, he's like Steven Stamkos. You know for sure it wasn't an even strength goal. You know that was a power play goal because Teuvo can't score an even strength goal. Yeah, he's on my list too.
All right.
And he was assisted by Tyler Bertuzzi, who double whammy, it's a power play goal because he can't get any points unless it's on the power play.
Okay, but also.
And then your next goal was by, of course, Mr. Smith, who's our fourth line player. Yes, hockey of the princess.
Well, first of all, I don't appreciate this dragging Teuvo Teravainen, guys. He did this all the way coming back from the game. If Teuvo's on the list, then the whole roster should be on the list.
I don't play that game. Okay.
Why not?
I'm not deflecting anything. He's on my list right now. Number one, because I expect a little more, and he has not delivered.
No one's delivered.
That's right. But no one's on my list. Only Teuvo Teravainen's on the list right now. He's on the list.
I mean, everyone should be on the list because no one's really delivering. Not Bertuzzi, not your captain, not
he scored a goal.
Connor, not really anybody.
I need more than 2 5-on-5 points in 20 games out of somebody who's supposed to be an offensive player. Even Tyler Bertuzzi is not considered an offensive player. Teuvo is an offensive player, meaning I need point production, and I need point production 5-on-5 as well as the power play. His game needs to step up.
Everyone's game needs to step up.
I'll give you that, but offensively, he needs to get it done more. So, again, as you're pointing out, the whole team needs to. Yes, there was 20 shots on goal for the Florida game, but they hung on. They got an empty net goal to go their way. The only other note I have from that is the Pickle and Murphy played one heck of a game.
Yeah.
Murphy is definitely probably almost into the land where he might be some good trade bait. He has stayed healthy.
I feel like he's trade bait every year.
But he hasn't been able to stay healthy, and he hasn't been able to play real well. No matter what you think of him, he is fighting like crazy.
Absolutely.
And unfortunately for him, he's got to pick up Seth Jones minutes.
Which, speaking of Seth Jones, that was one of the main things of my thought against the Florida game. I don't know how many times, probably at least a couple, where I out loud just said, gosh, I miss Seth Jones. Just because they didn't look defensively pathetic. This is to the Seth Jones haters of the Chicago hockey world. Just because they didn't look defensively pathetic doesn't mean that they are a better team now that Seth Jones is not in the lineup. You've got other guys stepping up. And it's not like we're winning every game that Seth is not in. We're still losing quite a bit. So with or without Seth, we're still losing a bit. You just
this is the first win without Seth.
Exactly. This is not magically changing things that Seth Jones is not in the lineup.
No, and unfortunately for this team, Seth Jones is your best offensive driver on that team. It's just that simple. He leads most of the breaks. He's usually the quickest up the ice. which is sad when your 32-year-old defenseman is your fastest player up the ice. Are you hearing me, Table? Yeah, good.
Are you hearing me, Connor?
Yeah, that too.
Because if you're putting Table on the list, I mean, I love the beacon of hope. But it's also a forward that was promised to score.
Yes, but we can dive into that for a second. The Beacon of Hope, that game was still with the Dick, correct?
Yeah.
So that means he went up against Barkov.
Yeah.
And kept Barkov off the score sheet.
Very impressive.
So that's a win. As we talked about, that's why, he can't go to the wing and play with Dickinson because Dickinson has an assignment every game, and that's to shut down the other team's top players. And you're not going to get a ton of offense from anybody who's trying to do that. Because the first thing you have to do is you cannot cheat. And
do you think Dickinson's trade bait?
No, they he is the difference between them getting blown out right now. So from a PR standpoint, they can't trade him and all of a sudden start losing games 5-2.
Yeah, because we already did that 2 years ago.
Right. You already have a mini mutiny on your hands, even with, the Blackhawks supposable podcasters who are now screaming that, all these young kids need to come up, this and that. And the reason why is they told their whole listening audience that 25-26, that's the year we're making noise. Doesn't look like 25-26 is the year we're making noise. Looks like we got another 3 years to go. But no, they've got him signed for a couple more years. He is in part of a mentorship role, kind of. But not, I mean, there's nobody there to mentor right now.
Right. I was going to say mentoring who everybody's very much a veteran.
Kurashev's been there for a little while.
Yeah.
The Beacon of Hope doesn't play his game.
No.
Could he mentor a Landon Slager? Sure. A Colton Dock, maybe a little bit.
A Paul Ludwinski,
Paul Ludwinski,
who was style of game.
Yes, hide and seek and Paul is who you would hope he would turn into somebody like the Dick. Perfect. Yeah, that's a perfect player to go with. No, but I think for right now, he keeps this team in games. And you can sell the narrative of just this one thing goes this way and this other little thing goes this way. We're right in it.
Or you're Ottawa.
Right, but you can still sell the narrative where if you're getting spanked 5-2, there's nothing to sell.
Right.
If this went this way, we only lose by 3 goals. So, no, he leads to their respectability, so he won't.
Is there anybody that you also think, aside from Murphy, that could be trade bait? I believe everyone that's on a 1-year contract could be trade bait.
Well, yeah. Taylor Hall is gone at the trade deadline, but who wants a Taylor Hall? I can't think of anybody unless his game improves a little bit. You're looking for a scorer who you're willing to pay good money for, or a third and fourth liner player, preferably a centerman who's good at the faceoff dot. Taylor Hall doesn't check many of those boxes. So, but yeah, I would assume Taylor Hall is gone. Double A was supposed to be gone, but he's down in Rockford now. I believe Smith is on a 1-year also.
Yeah.
He's played himself into definitely a role, and I would assume the Blackhawks will talk to him and ask him, listen, we're not going to get a ton for you, but would you like to be moved? And if he says, I wouldn't mind going to contender, I could see them getting a 5th rounder for him. I think it would be better for the team to maybe just keep him around. But you, as a general manager, everybody talks. And, I mentioned this like a year ago. If you don't think everybody talks about the way Patrick Kane was treated, you're silly. Everybody talks about stuff like that where you did really nothing wrong and you won 3 cups and your game's starting to wander a little bit and you got shit on. Yeah, people realize that. People see that. Also, veterans see it when a general manager comes, hey, what do you want? You've been a good soldier. You've played well for us. If you want to go, we'll accommodate you to send you to a contender. That goes a long way also in the NHL. Veterans like the upfrontness of a GM that operates that way. So I would assume Smith will have the opportunity to go if he wants. Flo and the Dick have a couple of years on them.
I don't think you trade your captain at the deadline.
No. Again, they're there to attempt to stabilize the shit show, which,
You think you try to flip Joey Anderson if you can?
Yeah, nobody wants Joey Anderson. There's no team out there that has a need for Joey Anderson. Again, what we have, nobody wants. So, and again, we've only got like 3 guys, I think, that are beyond 1-year contracts. And Tavo's got 3. Bertuzzi's got 3.
Bertuzzi has, or no, somebody's got 5.
Does Bertuzzi have 5? No way.
I believe Bertuzzi has 5.
I'm not buying it.
Because I saw that and became immediately depressed.
No way. Hold on, I'm going right now. I can't.
Wikipedia.
Well, I'm going to go to the other one. But
what's the other one?
The cap wages.
Not cap friendly because the Washington cap, they hate knowledge.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Bertuzzi was signed for 3, Bertuzzi was 4, Tavo was 3. So Bertuzzi's around for another 3 years. And he was able to get a modified no trade clause, which is, I believe, at 12.
If you want to send me back to my best friend Dylan Larkin, I will go. But aside from that, I'm not going.
Well, he's got a 12-team no trade, so. But that's even Mickey Mouse is here for another year.
That I'm fine with because he hasn't played great by any means, but he certainly exceeded my expectations in terms of him as a player and like.
Yeah, and I'm sure Maroon would like to be traded. I'm sure somebody would grab him as a depth 4th liner with some jam, and as the Maroon showed, in the Philly game, he's got a halfway decent set of hands. So, yeah. I mean, those are the guys. The only other guy that's available whose contract is coming up is Donato. And
the way that he's kind of performing, I would imagine that you could get, whether it's appealing to Davidson, I would imagine that there is some sort of offer from someone prior to trade deadline for Donato.
Oh yes, that's a bottom 6 player that can score a little bit. He's definitely he's almost somebody that I would think of re-upping for another 2.
After the AA contract, I really don't want KD re-upping anyone's contract.
I don't mind the way Donato plays.
I just don't trust. But
AA stunk when he signed him the first time.
No, which is why I don't trust KD's judgment at the moment.
Well, KD's like other people. They don't look at everything completely. And the one thing people did is they looked at people's point production on a team that also had Patrick Kane. And if you look around the league, yes, anybody who has Patrick Kane, usually the people around him and other lines put up more points. Just the way it is. So he was a byproduct of that. Getting top 6 minutes also getting occasionally to play with 88. So just like the other guy who I believe is in Florida now, or Washington. That's our Radish.
Yep.
So so those are some of the guys that, yeah, I would assume though, as I said, I don't see Taylor Hall getting any offers. So it's Donato. And that's about it.
Yeah.
Who did we say? Donato and who?
Murphy,
And Craig,
I would imagine.
and Craig Smith, I would assume. So those are the two main ones. And Murphy's still got one more year left. If the right offer comes in and you can eat $2 million of his contract for the following year,
not horrible.
But that's got to be at least a second rounder and a prospect. It doesn't have to be a high-end prospect, but at least a prospect. If not, I'd rather have just Connor Murphy around for another year.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, you're stuck with Brody for another year too. Okay, should we go to the Philly game?
Yeah.
Okay.
Press to cover the Philly game because I am poor.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
It's never not funny.
for the Philly game, they had one more shot on goal than they did in the Florida game, so they were up to 21, averaging 7 shots a period. For those new to the hockey game, that is what we call piss poor. Reichel with a nice goal that was set up by Pat Maroon. Again, I can get into Reichel a little bit.
Sure. The floor is yours.
Reichel, for the eye test, has looked okay. But at the end of the day, this is his second goal. He's another offensive player that is still struggling to put the puck in the net. I'm a supporter of him being on the fourth line for the whole year, and we'll see where this goes. But he's another one that the eye test, he looks so much better than he has the last 2 years.
Yeah.
But then I still go to the score sheet, and I don't see anything most of the time. So I was really thrilled to see him finally score his second goal. Granted, it was a wide open cage, but he still hit the wide open cage.
Because there's plenty of times where guys will not even get the wide open cage.
Mm-hmm. And then the second goal was a nice one by Pat Maroon, assisted by Smith and Reichel. So basically this team, we can look at it and you take away the Hawks power play goal, and in the last 2 games, all your goal scoring has been done by the fourth line. That's extremely worrisome. So we can throw one heck of a hissy fit. If I decide to do that, I don't even know what a hissy is. I don't know if that's slang, and like in these days, we're not even allowed to say that. I don't even know what it means. Do you know what it means?
Hissy fit?
Yeah.
Just throwing a tantrum.
Exactly. But where does the word hissy come from?
I don't know. I do not notice.
My woman?
She's working.
I know. She was working loud, so I told her to be quiet a little bit. She might have left to go someplace else, but she's really smart. If there's one person who knows what hissy means, it would be her. Okay, so this will bring us full circle back around to Tavo and Bertuzzi. Your 2 big pickups this year. And then I can pile on from the year before and add a Taylor Hall. And that's a top 6 line of doing nothing for you. Or accomplishing very little. Or why are we here?
I think they would also ask, why am I here?
Well, they're here for the money. I know why they're here. They're all getting paid really well, better than they would be getting paid anyplace else. So their game has to improve. So KD now has a decision. Either their game improves or you go find a coach that can improve their game. But you're the one,
Luke. You're Luke.
but you're the one who signed all three of these guys. You said, yes, this will help. So we got two places here. You're wrong in one of them. Either you hired the wrong coach or you brought in the wrong players. But right now, let's be honest. KD has done a very good job of getting what he can for very good players. And that's it. I need somebody to tell me this incredible signing that has made a difference. I need somebody to tell me this incredible draft pick that has made a difference. Because if you've been watching the Blackhawks for the last 2 weeks, you don't even think Beacon of Hope is making a difference. I see Seth Jones before he got hurt, Dickinson in the pickle.
Yeah, classic.
So 2 out of the 3 of those guys are from Stan Bowman. Only one of those guys is yours. You need to catch up to Stan. And there's not many of Stan's people left on the team. But everybody you brought in hasn't done anything. I got AA down in Rockford right now. It's another guy you brought in. So it's either you're bringing in the wrong talent all the time or you got the wrong coach. Why are you giving me that look?
No, I'm counting. How many of Stan's guys are left?
Is that the smoke you were counting? Don't try adding. That might cross like a fire.
Well, I mean, you've got 3 up in Chicago and then 1 in Rockford. No, you have
a goaltender in Rockford. You have Landon in Rockford. You have EDM in Rockford.
EDM is a Stan pick?
I believe if you go do the math, yes.
Hold on, friends, because, I mean, you've also got Lucas, which is a Stan pick, which is Isaac Phillips is a Stan pick because Isaac Phillips and Lucas Reichel were in the same draft class. Guys, I'm going to be so bummed right now if Ethan DeMastro was a Stan pick.
Okay, either way, I think
hold on. I'm
going to continue to talk. We don't want dead air on the radio. So you look that up while I talk. So basically, people.
Last year.
Huh?
2022 is the first Davidson year because that's the year the draft imploded, right?
Yeah, I think if you were looking 2020, it's probably EDM's draft year.
And he's 21. But that would be still a Stan pick because Katie's first draft was Seth Watts.
Okay.
Wow. I hate knowing that now.
But that's the way it is. Something needs to change. My problem, as I said, even with the signing of Tavo and Bertuzzi, you said you wanted to become better. They do make you a little better, but you said you wanted help from Tavo for the Beacon of Hope, and both of the people you brought in are not top 6 players.
No.
So you need a top 6 player to play with the Beacon of Hope. He's a top 6 player. You didn't bring in anybody to do that. That's where part of the problem is right now. He's done everything easy. Sure, it's easy to overpay for 35-year-old players who are okay. That's easy to do also. It's going to be difficult to make a trade for somebody who you're going to have to take a chance on. We've got Morgan Frost out there. We have Wallstrom out there.
But is Morgan Frost an actual top 6?
No.
For sure top 6.
No, but I know Tavo and Bertuzzi are not. Morgan Frost is young. I don't know.
Right.
That's the gambling part, where this guy is too scared to gamble. Everything's safe and easy. At some point in time, he's got to reach down there and grab those things and say, hey, it's go time. That's coming up very soon. People can't watch the games, which is probably very helpful for them right now. But at some point in time, and you're already starting to hear some of the chatter, everybody's had it. And you watch, 98 skating around, and it looks like he's had it. And that's not good. So, that Philly game at the end of the day was just one massive disappointment. You were up 2-0 on the Philadelphia Flyers going into the third period. And just like the Anaheim Ducks, you just went, whatever. So I'm sorry I got into a little bad vibe. I said I'd be upbeat all the time this year.
No, you didn't. Oh yeah, you did. Wait, yeah, you did.
Yeah, I did, but this is wearing thin on me too. So for your listeners, I would assume we'll wrap it up in a second. There ain't nothing but a ton of hockey coming up soon. They'll be playing a lot of 4 in 1 week, or at least 3 games in 7 days. We'll see what they do for us. We can go to the state of the team over Christmas break.
Yeah.
I expect some form of move before then. It won't be coaching, but
Something
you gotta
happen.
You gotta at least do something. And that something isn't Frank Nazar coming up, people.
Well, and on that note,
sorry about that. Way to go, Debbie Downer. Jeepers creepers. That's right. He's crusty. He's old.
It's kind of the shtick.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
All right. And on that note, happy 100 to us. Make sure to tell all your friends, your whomever. Make sure to hit that like and subscribe on either Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube.
Write us a review. Come on, take the time.
Write the review.
Please. I'm a very insecure individual, Oh, my woman is still. Hold on. Let's get back to it then. My woman? What is a hissy? You're throwing a hissy fit. What does that mean? I mean, I understand it's like a tantrum, but I don't understand the word hissy. My woman doesn't even know. So if any of your listeners do, please get back to us on that.
Sure.
And teach crusty old guy, because he's never too old to learn.
Absolutely. Make sure to hit that like and subscribe. If you're going to a game this season, please, please, please wait for the whistle. Do not get up while the puck's in play. The beer will still be there. The bathroom will still be there. The bad food in the 300 level will still be there. If you are going to a game this year, also, I would advise just not eating it at the stadium. And there's a really, really lovely taco place just down the street from the United Center. Su Taqueria El Rey del Taco over on Ogden. They're so nice. The food's so good. And it's
a third
of the price as the United Center. So
yes.
Highly recommend. That is all. Happy Thanksgiving, because this will come out on Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving, folks.
Yes, from our family to yours.
And we will
go kill a turkey.
Kill a turkey. All right. And we will talk to you guys next week.